Okay, here I am at President Monson's grave. I'm gonna do a little recap real fast. So here is the only Aaron anywhere. This plot is huge too. This plot is way bigger than the Smith plot with Joseph F's, the two Joseph F's, which also has an Aaron, and it's not coincidence, but I won't get into that now. There's no Aaron. There's Jane Manning Smith right there. There's no Aaron, literally none. Absolutely none. This is huge. This is massive. There's no Aaron I can find on that plot. Or the next one over, which has Monson's parents. There's the historic church, which is on the corner of 4th Avenue and P Street. Absolutely no Aaron. I just don't think it was a popular name in LDS pioneers, because they tended to name their kids after people within the community. Not always, but so by the time you factor that in and other things, my name was just not common. There was like 2 Mormon pioneers that had the name Aaron. Aaron Johnson and Aaron Farr. And they didn't live in the Salt Lake Valley. So the name was just not very common at all. So there's the Aaron. Again, it forms a line with September 19th, which is my first wife's birthday, into President Monson. It's perfect. And I could count this. I don't know if I do. This is preliminary. December 7th, the day that Elder Kieran was called, which has the name Aaron and basically Kieran. That goes through the September 19th, into the Aaron, and into President Monson. And it's quite perfect. Then, of course, you have the Claudia, my wife's name right here. I would not know how to do this one, because usually I try to draw lines through symbols, because you don't just want to draw a line anywhere you want, or something that's not meant to be. But so my idea on this was just basically use reason and not draw a diagonal line, just go directly south. So just go directly south, and this does seem meant to be, this seems to be the correct metric. And then stop at the Aaron, right there. So it's between President Monson at his feet and the Aaron at his feet. This just seems like the correct metric. And then of course the Aaron right here meets the Claudia, basically at the feet of President and Sister Monson. It's more on Monson's side, but you know, depending on the corner of Aaron is about in the middle, but Aaron overlaps mostly with Monson. So it's the grave that is most aligned with him. The only Aaron, my brother's middle name right there. And then 1, 2, 3, 4 down from the Aaron is a November 9th. It's probably just a coincidence, right? But maybe not, because this one has a November 6th and a November 27th. So I'm starting off with the weaker stuff that I'm not even as 100%. I'm confident about that. I'm not as confident. So then you have the Vera, which just happens to be close to like 2 November 27ths. She's right here. And in my first video, I forgot to note that August 12th is a prophet's birthday. The Vera always seems either to have a prophet's birthday or like a November 7th or an Aaron right on it or next to it. Here is another prophet's birthday. Taylor with a prophet's death, which if this was meant to say anything, I think that would clearly mean succession. That prophet just happened to be in Carthage jail as well. John Taylor, who later succeeded Joseph Smith after Brigham Young. I have an 80. I was born on an 80. So I think that one's pretty strong, to be honest. And then next to it, you have a November 9th. The two 80s or the two 27s are down there. One is right there on those two. And then the other one is diagonal, close to the big one. So, this let me see here real fast. January 21st. Okay. So, I can go through this, which has two prophets dates with the Vera and the 80 and the June 27th. I think that's pretty strong. And then the next one has a December 7th, which is the day with Peter, the day that Elder Kieran, which has my name and my town, Aaron and Kearns in it. And then it goes right through this and into the Claudia. Claudia is like my other half. He's pointing to somebody, a family, an individual. Don't forget, President Monson forms a diagonal line. The guy's about right here. He's to the right of this row, barely. With a Joseph Smith, who happens to be one of the only November 7ths in this entire area. I'll get into that in a minute. He forms a line with that guy, and it goes perfectly into Holy Cross, into the center. Now, if you draw a line directly straight from Monson south, it still goes into Holy Cross, but it's like the end. I think this is far better because the line feels more meant to be. It's more pointing towards the heart of Holy Cross. It goes right in. By the time it ends up into Holy Cross, it slightly diagonal, and then all the way down, and it goes almost into the center. Which P Street runs into about the main entrance of Holy Cross. P Street is right there. You pass the church, you go down. The church is on the corner of P and 4th Avenue. So, and Holy Cross block from 4th Avenue, where the white truck is 2 blocks. South Temple's 2 blocks. So this is meant to be. Now, there's one I forgot. There's the Aaron, the only Aaron, I promise. There's no way. I've searched this entire thing. I've searched almost the entire one of that one. I've searched most of the next one across the street, which has Perry. There's none. I've searched some of that. I guess it's because this is an old part of the cemetery. But my brother's name is Spencer. Right across from the Aaron. And then the Vera draws a line through President Monson, Thomas Spencer Monson, into the Aaron. My name has the sun pattern. All 3 of my names have the ON pattern. Johnson, that part could be coincidence, but it's very worth noting, I believe. 16th president of the church. So, close to the Vera. And again, let me do the line through the Vera, not that one, which is the November 1st and June 27th. Let me just do the line, and this is the best line involving this Vera, because it's the most fitting. It goes through 2 of her sons' names. It has the birth of a prophet, so you go through the prophet, literally. So you just go through here. It actually initially goes through President Monson's wife. And then if I keep going straight, see? It cuts out, it crosses his casket into the prophet, and it goes into the Aaron. It's amazing. It's amazing. This just happens to have a November 4th. That could be coincidence. 4 down, a 1908. Switch the 8 and the 0. And 2 down from the Aaron is an 80, which is across from the Claudia right there. And again, emphasis. 1, 2, 4 down from the Aaron is November 9th, a November 6th, and a November 27th with this 80. Right there. So, now, there's no way that this is coincidence. How I missed this, I don't know. Look. And this is the only Madison, I promise. There's none. Anywhere. Right next to the prophet and the Aaron and the Vera. My middle name spelt the same way. I wonder if this family is related to the Knight family that was close to where the priesthood of Aaron was restored and helped Joseph. Probably. So, this has a November 10th, very close. A Madison. Okay. And then here's one of the November 27th. I don't know if this is connected. This is more me making note of things. It's in the road down from the Madison. And then the Vera is in this row. So the Vera, by the way, here's the second November 27th, which I was talking about. At least under Monson that I found. This is in the same row as the Vera. It's kitty corner from Madison, which has a November 10th. Look, and it forms a perfect triangle, which signifies order, and God is a God of order with the Vera. President Oaks' birthday, future prophet, President Oaks, August 12th. Again, there's almost no other prophet's birthdays over here except this one, which forms a line. November 9th, 80, June 27th represents succession. And isn't that interesting that it's the prophet who was with Joseph when he died? His birthday, November 1st, same week as mine with an 80. November 9th, that forms a line through the December 7th, which signifies Aaron and Chiron. He was called on the same street I was born, into the Claudia. Through the Vera, of course. And then the Vera forms that other line. So I'm guessing that this is not a coincidence. And I have to family search this right here, next to the Madison. Okay, so I have found 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 November 7ths. They're not close to Monson, but they're in his vicinity. 2 of them are past the tree by that big one. Well, 1 is before, 1 is close to it. 2 more. I can't breathe out of my nose. And I'm not in the best. I've been depressed lately, so. Oh, here's President Monson's sister. This could have some interesting things. This is right next to the Aaron. It's like he's saying I'm family. And there could be a few other things, but now's not the time. Oh, one more thing. I just discovered today, and I believe that this one is strong. I don't believe that this is coincidence. This row in the same plot, you go all the way down, is Brigham Young's brother, Phineas. It's the first flat one before the big ones, right there. That's very close, same row. He was born in the 1700s, I think it was 1799, the century of the American Revolution, the century of James Madison, who, by the way, became part of the Continental Congress in 1780. Add a 1 and you have 11,780. I was named after him. Add a 1 and you have 11,780. By the way, this may be a good time too. From what I've read, all the stuff I've read, is the most consequential battle in the American Revolutionary War was on October 7th, 1780. And that is when the British decided to use a southern strategy, and they went to South Carolina, and against all odds they beat them there. And that is when, from everything I've read from many historians, is when after the war started 4 years later, in 1780, that is when the American Revolution began to turn around for the colonies. And 1780, add a 1, you have my birthday, 11,780. And the news was delivered. A guy walked in dangerous territory because they had spies everywhere, as you can imagine. Going from South Carolina all the way up to Pennsylvania is a long, long walk. It took him a month. I forgot his name. But the news was delivered, this most consequential news of a miraculous turnaround. I believe that this was symbolic. Nothing of this type of magnitude in the founding of the United States, the Constitution of this land, is coincidence. The news was delivered to them on November 7th. Now, if I'm what my patriarchal blessing says, and I'm interpreting it correctly, I am, I don't believe that's coincidence. I just have to be healed, get over some of these health problems, and do what the Lord wants me to do. So, two of them are up there, the November 7th. I've searched all this very thoroughly. Down there's maybe like a couple little pockets. And so a lot of those, I don't know, maybe a third don't have months and days. The other two are right by that park. That guy, the big one. Medium. That was Brigham Young's financial advisor. He has a November 7th on his. I don't know who it is because I family searched. I can't find the person. So who it was, I don't know. And then the other one is that little one. So you can draw a line, the little one right in front of it. You can draw a line from them into the Claudia. See them? Those two? Boom. That's the only two November 7th I could find. There's two up here. I literally, none. And I've only found two 1980s. That's even more rare. Two, and massive. No, three, sorry. There's one by the big one right there, but that's far. That's not even close. There's two. Well, there's one up there by the road, and there's one right there. And then it's September 19th. Let me just check this real fast. Okay, never mind. Forget that September. So I don't believe this September 19th is a coincidence. because he's using my spouses, my brother, my mom. Everything has perfect symmetry. It's not like it's scattered. I'm not drawing crazy lines. The order here is amazing. So you have 4 November 7ths in this entire area. There's one across the street, past the tree, way down at the end of that plot. That's the Joseph Smith, which just happens to be perfectly aligned about here, right here, from Monson. Maybe here, I don't know. I mean, if that Joseph Smith was, let's say, this far from Monson, and he was down there in the same spot, but over to the right, it would miss Holy Cross. If he was even this far from Monson to the left, it would miss Holy Cross. And why is it a Joseph Smith? It's the most perfect one. So those 2 November 7ths over there, they're preliminary. I've searched all that. There's nothing. And why do they just happen to form a line into the Claudia? Who do you think Heavenly Father thinks the most important person in my life is? Who do you think, knowing the Lord's plan for me, especially if he's going to heal me and I'm going to become a blessing to people, that he planned for me, Claudia? Would that, knowing Heavenly Father, not be one of the things that he would be trying to get me to focus on to the highest level? The other November 7th is far. It's in the same plot. It's the only one I can find anywhere. I've searched all. It just happens to be by that big one, which is the only other apostle buried in this huge plot. That's not coincidence. And the November 7th, he passed on November 7th, 1908. That's not coincidence. It's the Lord saying November 7th, 1980. Just like this one has a 1908, 2 down, which could be coincidence. And then it has an 80, 2 down to the right. But let me demonstrate. And I found 2 other Veras and only 2 1980s. Let me demonstrate. Really fast. This 1980 is here with an 1890 right there. Look at this. If you just follow the line from Monson, look, through the 1980, literally, it kind of cuts through the tree, boom, keeps going. Here's the other November 7th. It misses that. Watch, but I'll get to that in a minute. Here's the other one. It misses that. Yeah, hold on a second. Wait a minute here. Okay. I had that line mistaken. That one doesn't go through President Monson. The 2 November 7ths right there go through President Monson. The Aaron, watch this. It's special. The Aaron right there, watch. He goes through the 1980, the only one other than one up there, I promise. So from the Aaron, yeah, look. And the November 7th is that, see the big one? And then the 2 little ones, it's the little one to the left, watch. You can see the line, look. Boom, look at that, watch. There's no question, like For example, the little one to the right, you can tell it's off to the right. Look, it's off to the right. It goes through the second. I mean, it's perfect. It's shocking how perfect this is. That's right. It goes through the Aaron, the 1980. We skipped that November 7th. Okay. There's a guy, so I'm kind of... So here is the November 7th, which is a Charles. Look. Charles, November 7th, a baby. That makes it even stronger. It's the second one. Look at that. See the tree? The 1980, you can see it. It's a sliver under the left of the tree. You go straight through it, and look, the Aaron. Past the big one, the Aaron's the darker gray one that's half showing, past the gray one. And look, the 1980s, that flat sliver after, but under the left of the tree. Look at that, right into the Aaron. This is Charles, right there, H-A-R-L-E-S, Charles. My mom's husband's name. It goes right through the 1980 into there. Now, here's this November 7th. The other November 7th is that one, the flat one. Look at that. It goes right into Monson, and it goes into the Madison. The Madison is that rockwood, past Monson, half showing to the right. Watch this. So now that baby forms two separate lines. It actually forms more, but I'll get to that. November 7th. Okay, it goes through this basically. Keeps going. Keeps going. And it's gonna go about through the middle of Monson. Goes through that. About through the middle of Monson. Watch. Maybe slightly to the right. About right here. That's the memorial. So it comes out. It hits this corner easily. I can get that. Look. 2 November 7th. It passes the Vera line. Where is she? Right there. Which goes through the Thomas Spencer Monson, president of the church, into Aaron, and crosses all kinds of other divine lines. It goes through the only Madison. And by the way, the Lord's not done here. Look at that. It goes through the only Madison, I promise you, literally. 2 November 7th, into the president of the church, Thomas Spencer Monson, into a Madison. And look, I swear on everything. You just keep going. Look, I'm going straight. Look at this. Into the only other apostle. Now, I don't know if I can get it through his headstone, but it goes through his memorial. Right here. Depending on how I angle it, I probably have a few feet from maybe here to maybe there. So this is it, apostle. Which, by the way, there's 4th Avenue and P Street, the corner. There's the church. Follow that street straight down. That's where I was born. Elias Morris. Here he is. Now, I don't think I can get that through his headstone, but maybe his casket. If I cut through the corners about here. But it don't matter. It don't matter. So, look at the one next to Morris. 1870. Switch the 8 and the 7. This one could be coincidence. and you have almost 11,780. Now, I'm dizzy right now, so forgive me, and I can't breathe. Also in line with that apostle is Diantha, November 27th, okay? November 27th. So now, in perfect alignment with the only other apostle on here is 1870, which could be 11,780. I don't really run with that, but I'm still processing. Diantha, his family, November 27th, in perfect alignment. And she runs down probably the gutter. See to the right of the corner of P Street. Now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Look at that. That is special. Switch the 8 and the 0, and you have November 7th, 1980, with my initials IAM. In this instance, that might not be coincidence. With a date, was it the 23rd Joseph got the plates? Look at that. And there's a Joseph. Regardless. Oh, look, Helen. Mount St. Helens erupted in 1980. An important birth happened in 1980. Look at this. Right down P Street, the only apostle, at least, there's none over there, up there. There's one Talmage on the corner, right there, Talmage. There's Grant, or no, that's Taylor. Grant's the gray one in the tree. Perry's right there across the street. By the way, there's Knight, Joseph Knight Jr., who was one of the first restoration families. Some people think that was even the Lord's standby family if Joseph failed. Joseph Knight Sr., and that's Joseph Jr. They were from, Joseph Smith stayed with them for a while when he was by Harmony, Pennsylvania. They were across the line in New York. So, now, November 27th, connecting to Apostle Elias. Look at this. I wonder if that's a Joseph Smith. November 27th, boom, boom. Joseph A. Helen. Mount St. Helens erupted in May, right? Look at that. Mount St. Helens erupted in May. Was it April, May? Or March? No, it was May. Yeah, it was May because it was close to May 15th. It began erupting before the 15th and continued after May 15th, priesthood of Aaron restored. Look at that. Mount St. Helens erupted in May 1980. Important birth, November 7th, 1980. Has my initials, M-I-I-M. And look at this. A few down, November 6th. Basically mine, but definitely Uchtdorf's. And this was Jane. Where is she? Right here. No, 2 down. Right there, November 6th. That's her. Jane. So 2 down from the November 7th is a November 6th, a Joseph S. And then the alignment here is perfect. Literally. It's crazy. Now, this is another interesting thing, because the November 7th, 1980 which is how I believe that's the Lord's intention. Helen, May, etc., etc., etc. Look, cross the street again a second time. It's in the same one that the tall one that represents hospital, LDS Hospital founder, which has a Verda. Well, actually, she's to the left, the Verda. This is the row right here with the Verda, the Paul, October 19th, all right next to each other, the 1980 and the November 17th. This is this row right here. That's this row. This is the row with the October 9th. This is the Apostle, Father, which is to the left of the 1980, which would like be here. So 1980, and then to the left right here. Here's a police. Hopefully he doesn't bother me right here. So this is this guy right here, Elias Morris. So yeah, this is interesting right here. Okay, and then the Vera. Okay, the Vera's in the row the trees in. See all the red ones across the second street? That's President Monson's parents and grandparents. So the Vera is in this row. The one in line with the Apostle, the November 27th, is a Hannah Young. Hannah's a name from the Bible. Is that the one that gave birth to the prophet, to Samuel, or was that Ruth? I think that was Hannah, which would be ironic right here with a young prophet's name. Okay, so I wasn't gonna show this, but really fast, there's Joseph Knight Jr. He goes through a July 2nd, my patriarchal blessing date, right there, and into Elder Perry. Now, I've searched all of Elder Perry's. I gotta go back to Monson real fast. I shouldn't be doing this. No November 7th. Nothing. My daughter's birthday is this one, two down from him, Perry. And this one, I forgot, but it was important. It's not one of mine, and these could be coincidence, but the one next to Perry right here is two babies that died in November 1880. No November 7th. I searched everywhere. None. Until you cross the street. Watch. Watch this. I've searched all that. None. I think there's one about halfway down by that big tree. There's none over here, but this one. Look. So here's my question. Perry's in this row. Why is that November 7th not, let's say, here? Where it would miss the hospital. The line would be diagonal. It would miss the hospital. Or, why is it not over there on that corner where it would miss the hospital? Look. From Perry to the next row, I met him on South Temple. Him and Elder Hay separately, the only two apostles I've met in Salt Lake. I've met a few apostles. Why? Through the church, through Perry, through the November 7th, through the church, and right almost into the center of Holy Cross. Okay, I didn't mean to do that. Let me go back to Monson. That's not coincidence. All the apostles have stuff like that. They have signs about me. Okay, I wasn't gonna show that one, and I shouldn't have, considering I can't breathe. Okay, so we're going back up to Monson. I forgot about this. So here's another July 2nd, my patriarchal blessing date, November 9th. It's right into the center of the Morris, which is, anyways, I don't read too much into that unless it's super compacted, but it's preliminary too. So there's the November 7th, 1908, the November 6th. Okay, that's probably not a coincidence, but I'll come back to that on another day and look into that. But I'm strict, I'm careful. There has to be divine symmetry, alignment, order, and patterns that are literally impossible. Okay, there's the rockwood, forms a triangle with the Vera, the Madison on the back, on November 27th. And then the other November 27th is in this row. I haven't been able to tie it to anything other than it's just in the vicinity. But here's an interesting thought though. That line, so if I draw a line through the Aaron and the Madison, which would be fitting, it goes through one of the only names that you can derive Aaron, Larson. Caroline also. That's pretty interesting. That could easily be coincidence. And then it goes through the Madison. But I've searched all that. So there's none of my other, there's nothing else it could go through. I don't know if I count that one because I don't know about this one. Now, if that said Deacon, which is my last name in English, went through the Aaron, the Deacon, and the Madison without skipping almost any graves, I would count that. But that is preliminary. So September 13th, almost my mom's. I don't know if that one's a coincidence, but it's 2 down from Claudia, diagonal from the Aaron. Yeah, I don't read into that one. For me, it has to be clear. I don't. Okay. So, from the Aaron, it goes through this 1980 right there, and then it goes into the November 7th. Then, the same November 7th baby goes through Monson into this other November 7th. Here's Monson, through the Rockwood, through the Apostle, Elias Morris. This is crazy. There's no way. There's no way. Absolutely no way that this is a coincidence. There's no way, I promise. And here's the Charles. This Charles might not be coincidence either. My mom is with a Charles right now. So, this forms a line, and I've not family searched that, Maria, with the only other 1980. I promise. They're more rare here than the November 7th. I'm literally astounded. I promise. Through the second Vera, look. Through Charles, November 7th, through Vera, IAM. I'm probably reading into that one, but you have to realize these are very initial thoughts. There's no other Vera, nowhere. There's one like okay, there's one, let me see, one of those beige little ones is a Vera, and this is big. It's bigger than it looks on camera. There's another one past that big one. Okay, this is big. There's no Aaron except that one where it needs to be, and there's no other Madison except that one where it needs to be. So there's Charles, the second little one to the left. It goes through the Vera. You keep going. Okay, that line's even better than I thought, because look at this. The Charles is about right here. Look at this. So there's the Vera. The Charles is about right here, if you're going straight west. And look, the Vera's next to December 7th. Elder Kieran called the street I was born. Kieran Aaron Kearns. So it's a slight diagonal line. Watch, slight diagonal. Truly perfect. Truly perfect. Look, the only other 1980, the only other one, look at this. I promise. See, the Aaron is about right here. The Charles November 7th is about right here. The Vera about right here, and the 1980 about here. Look, literally perfect. Here's 1980 through the Vera, that one, and then the red one, and then the Charles November 7th. And look who it just happens to go through. This is not coincidence. Maybe this is for Charles in part. It goes through one of the top two Black Mormon pioneers, Jane Manning. Look at that. Who also has symbols that denote my name. Helen. Ellen is Helen. I've studied it. James M. Maybe for Madison. I'm not saying I'm running with that, but the Miriam I find interesting. Miriam in the Bible was the sister of Moses and Aaron. And then it goes that way through Gladys and so forth. That's not coincidence. At least the main part. No way. So he's basically saying, yes, you're interpreting the President Monson thing correctly, with the Vera going through the Thomas Spencer Monson and then into the Madison. That's what he's saying. I can't breathe out of my nose, sorry. I'm having health problems, so literally. Both of them. Look at this. Okay. So let's recap. Here's a November 15th, July 7th. Nothing. I've literally every single row, every single one over here. Every single one. I do want to point out though that I found something probably not coincidence. Was this guy died at Liberty Park before it was Liberty Park. Bingham. He received a blessing from Brigham Young and then he died. See? Before he succumbed to his injury. A tree, some type of tree injury. I think it was going through something, but I'm not worried about that. Now, it just happens to be in the same row as another guy, Hamilton Park. Brigham's financial manager that Brigham also gave a blessing to when that guy got hit by a tree. Why are they in the same row? Except that guy miraculously lived. He was dead. He was actually dead. This is how I found this November 7th. And then I did a search everywhere. I promise you, literally, I've searched everywhere. Everywhere, literally. January 3rd, November 18th, nothing, I promise. Like literally, I've been all of these. There's that other Vera over there. I'll get to that in a minute. Why I don't believe that one is a coincidence. Okay. So here is baby Charles, which represents a birth. November 7th. Lived about 1 year. Defies the odds. Most babies survive. You can see Kearns, my hometown, probably better than any other town. Most of Salt Lake is blocked, etc., etc., etc. So, excuse me. I can't breathe. Breathing is hard. Okay, so this forms a line through one of the, let me see, 1, 2, 3 Veras anywhere near Monson. And it's not even very close to him, look. So there's 3 Veras. There's one close to him. I already showed that one. This goes through one of only 2 1980s, this November 7th, into the Vera, perfectly diagonal, into the Vera, the 1980, and then Jane Manning, Black Mormon pioneer. Then it forms a second line with that November 7th right there. It goes through Monson, through the Madison, which it's Rockwood. It's on the bottom. It's to the right of Monson past him, Madison, my middle name. And then it goes through the only other apostle on this entire massive plot, who just happens to have all those other things I don't believe are coincidence. There's the church, corner of 4th Avenue, P Street. Then, on top of that, it forms a third line going through the second November 7th, or 1980, sorry, right into Aaron. Come on. The Lord, look, it passes the Madison for this particular line. The Lord knew my life. He knew the health problems. He knew everything. Look, it's literally perfect. Like, you don't even have to go through the corners. Look at this. Come on. Thomas Spencer Monson, Aaron. Okay. Now, there's President Monson's sister. I need to try to blow my nose. It's too dry though. Okay, so I'm going to show you the other Vera and why I don't believe this one is coincidence. Okay. This is the only Sharon I can find, the only one. Trust me, the Sharons are special to me. I would have mentioned it. Whew, it's the only one. Look, she just happens to have a November birth. Her death date is not on here. I I'm assuming because she's still alive, what if she passes on November 7th? Look, it has the word Aaron. It kind of represents a code word. The prophet Joseph was born in Sharon, Vermont. November birth, 1937. McKay's house is 1037 East, which I believe is November 7th. 10 October does not have 37 days. Push the 7 into November. So, why? Now, if you go straight, she runs to the left of Aaron. The wiener, she runs to the grave to the left, about. But remember, Monson's slightly to the right of Aaron. Why? Why? If you go through the Aaron, does this perfectly go through the president of the church who held the keys of the man who was born in Sharon, Vermont? Why is this not over here? Like right here. Or even right here, to make it even more. I mean, I guess you could say, well, it runs in between his. No. The headstone's the most important. Why? If it was here, let me see here. No, I mean, I guess you could say it would go through his wife, right? Okay, so if it was here, no way. It misses it. I'm counting the memorial, President Monson, and his wife. And because this is close, in a sense at least, I have to go farther. For example, if this Sharon was way over there, if I just stepped 1 foot over, it would miss all 3 of them big time. But again, Aaron's the middle one, to the right of the heart. I mean, if it was here, you could say it still goes through his monument. I would probably count that too, to be honest. So, that's interesting. To be honest with you, this is confirming this even more to me because, well, his wife didn't give birth to a prophet. This is most in line with his wife, but it goes through the Aaron and the Monson. I believe that's clearly the most fitting. How could you argue otherwise? It goes through the headstone of Aaron, literally, and then it goes through the headstone of Monson. Yeah, it's perfect. And the Vera is in the same row, about 8 down, the only other Vera. Joseph Smith was born in Sharon, Aaron, Vermont, Vera. A birth happened. There's none other. There's 2 November 8ths over here. I forgot. I think the other one's right here. Right there. I don't run with those. Though that is interesting, right? Switch the 8 and the 9. You have 1980. 1 day off. That forms a triangle about with the Sharon and the Vera. Huh. Wow. Huh. The point, that one could be coincidence, but the point is it has order, which represents God in his hand. Now, that could be coincidence. Huh. That is interesting. Okay, so Brigham Young's brother, I believe, is the most important person after Monson Berger and after Elias. No one trumps apostle, so he's the 3rd most important. This is a massive plot. And he just happens to be in the same row as the Aaron. He was born in 1799, Brigham's older brother. He played a huge role in shaping that future prophet. There's a guy.